Well, we're both from Oklahoma. I'm from Tulsa.
Okmulgee
girl. And we've both been very philanthropic, and we were volunteering actually with the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and we met on that committee, and we were instantly friends. And then we started another committee, another associate board for DVIS, Domestic Violence Intervention Services. Very active with that, and just been friends for almost 15 years. And funny thing, one of the first times we ever hung out, she called me and she's like, before we go to the event, do you want to come by and party at my house? We're having a few people over. So I walked out onto the front, or she gave me the address, and I said, oh my gosh, walk out on your front porch. We're 2 doors down from each other.
We'll wave.
Yeah.
Katie was in real estate and I was in banking for 10 years. So we're both in our respective fields for about 10 years when we left them to go
and
do this.
I actually still am balancing a real estate career as well.
Glacier Chocolate started in 2006 in Tulsa, actually in this location. We have a kitchen in the back where Glacier got its start, and then this area up here is where they did their retail sales. But at the time when it first started, he wasn't selling his retail chocolate in Tulsa anywhere, and I was working at Miss Jackson's at the time, and so the owner, Bill, came to me and said that he wanted to sell his chocolate at Miss Jackson's, and so we brought it in and formed a great relationship. And then in 2018, just happened to be in the wrong, Katie and I had been discussing doing a cannabis business together for probably about a year at this point. And so we knew we wanted to do a cannabis business. We were going down a route that we didn't really love, and so I ran into Bill and we just had a conversation, and within like a couple of weeks, it turned into, well, why don't you just buy Glacier, and then you can take the recipes and start a second company called which we call Glazed. And we just kind of lucked out and had a long-term relationship with Bill Copeland, and we're able to buy his business and then start Glazed Edibles and opened up the Emerald Gallery in the original Glacier location.
We were really looking for a unique opportunity in the cannabis industry. There were so many grows, so many dispensaries. We do have a dispensary as well, but we wanted to have a very unique edible product. Mm-hmm. It's high-end chocolate that we import from Belgium, and it's specified to our specifications for certain profiles, taste profiles. And then on top of that, we do full spectrum and strain-specific infusions. So we take specific plants that we want to have specific effects from, and we use the entire plant to do our infusions. So and then they're beautiful and they're colorful and they're little pieces of art, just like cannabis. Our glazed truffles all come in 10 milligrams per serving per truffle. The Chasing Magic product that we're releasing with Jim, those will each be 5 milligrams. We wanted to have a microdosing option, but then the chocolate joints that we're releasing with him are going to be 20 milligrams each, so you can microdose with those as well.
And by chocolate joint, these are actual chocolate, like a candy cigarette, but a
exactly.
joint.
Yeah, but a joint. We use BHO, full spectrum strain specific BHO.
The BHO is it is a butane produced product. There is no butane that actually gets in the oil. It's just used on the processing side. And a lot of people get scared when they hear butane through the processing, but it's the same process that's used to make olive oil and has been since 1901. So it's been a pretty safe product. It's a very safe product. We are very fortunate to be right in the Tulsa Arts District. I will say during the pandemic, it got a little slow down here. We're in the middle of all the bars and restaurants and music venues and baseball stadiums and hotels. So there wasn't a lot of business down here during the pandemic, but we slid through and we're still here. So now business is starting to pick back up, that the community is out and about again. We started Glazed Edibles in June 2019. We made our first sale, started our research and development in June 2019, and then we made our first sale in September of 2019. So we operated from 2019 until now, as we had Glazed Edibles, and then we did another brand under there called the Bake Fest bars, which are like cereal bars with distillate that are high dose and low cost. And so during that time, though, from September 2019 to now, we really had to take a step back and focus on Glacier and just trying to get Glacier to survive the pandemic, it took quite a bit of resources and time from us. So Glazed wasn't able to grow as much in the meantime, but now Glacier's back on its feet, and we met Jim back in March, and so that conversation kind of happened throughout the summer and came to an agreement in July, and here we are releasing new product.
But that happened pretty fast.
It really
Very
did.
fast.
March of 2021.
Yes. Yeah.
And then how did you guys meet him? How did that come about?
He just came into our dispensary, and we gave him a tour of the chocolate facility, and
Oh, really?
he fell in love. So
He was in town to visit Redbird, who's the grow that he licenses Blues Brothers product with. And so he was staying at the Mayo and wanted to visit a dispensary downtown, and he was down here, and we made him go in the back and try our chocolate.
yeah.
And he fell in love with it. So we have our glazed edible products, which is the chocolate full spectrum, and the Belushis are going to be focused more towards just different targets. They're a similar product, but they're more microdosing, so that we're going for more of we're trying to introduce a new crowd into cannabis, a crowd that we feel that could really use this. One of our big targets are like women over the age of 50, and we don't want to introduce them in with high doses and scare them.
Right.
We really want them to start slow and smart and understand the right dosing for the product, and make sure that they're buying products that are looking for the needs. So like if they need to sleep better at night, then we would lead them one way towards the Wedding Crasher. Sorry, it's stumbling on my words. Or if they're looking for a little bit more energy and need some more creative, then we would give them to the XJ13, which is our sativa chocolate. So the Jim's product is going to be a little bit more focused on microdosing and more medical, whereas the glazed is kind of products that we've taken on the Glacier side. It's kind of more of those true Glacier flavors and products.
Cool.
So, is that a good explanation?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're doing more microdosing products
Right.
with Jim's line, and ours are not quite like that. So
I would say that's the stuff that we produce in-house is our top seller at this dispensary.
Nice.
That and then just flour as well.
pre-rolls are huge here.
We do a lot of pre-rolls. We're in this entertainment district, so a lot of people are looking for a quick little to-go thing. So lots of single-use products as well. But Glazed is our #1 selling product out of this dispensary.
Very cool. And it's produced right here in
Right
the
in the
back.
back. Yeah.
First, like most people, tried cannabis when I was a teenager, but from then on, I started having some anxiety issues, and I found that it really helped me. It helped me to relax, and it had the opposite effect on me than that. And so I never was somebody that used it every single day or all the time, but I found in difficult times it helped me to relax. And then on top of that, I have migraines, and it's almost completely stopped my migraines. I had chronic migraines. I'd have them, every other day.
Yeah.
And I now only have a migraine maybe once, twice a year. And then in my older age, I've had arthritis, and using the pain creams and microdosing with edibles has really helped that as well. So.
I started using cannabis at a young age. I used it a little bit in my teenage years and in college. And then I didn't use cannabis again for about 12 years. And then when I was in Denver in 2015, and I was having my lady cramps, and they're very, very severe. And so I usually was taking tramadol for them, and I did not bring my tramadol with me to Denver. But I'd heard edibles worked, so I went to a dispensary and bought a 5-milligram cookie, and that pain was, like when I would take tramadol, it would dull the pain. When I took an edible, the pain was gone. Like it was nowhere to be found, and that had never happened before. So I got very interested in edibles and came home in 2015 and kind of learned how to make them for myself, and then we were able to start making them for a company, a business.
And then on top of that, just like my personal experience, we've always been ones to try and fight for others, like through Divis and raising money for cystic fibrosis and lots of other nonprofits. But just that we started doing research on cannabis and learning just the history of how oppressive, the reason why it was ever criminalized. It's just awful, and it should never have been illegal. And so that was another reason why we were so passionate about it is We just really feel like people shouldn't be put in prison for for using it, and we're not the typical cannabis user, and we can kind of help reduce the stigma on it. So it's also part of why we really passionately charged forward with getting into the business.
Break down that stigma.
Yeah.
Some people are concerned about buying THC accidentally at Glacier, and the first thing we say is that we would never sell THC at Glacier. Number one, that's not legal, but number two, we don't want to cross the two brands. They would never cross paths.
Well, and they're in completely separate facilities. Glacier is produced in a 10,000 square foot warehouse on Route 66, which is about 6-7 miles from here, and there's never any crossover between the two. So
they're never on the same property. So anybody that is negative against THC, I would say maybe just do a little research and find out why people find cannabis so useful instead of just judging them for using it.
Curly Sue was one of my favorite movies growing up, and I think I watched 100 times with my best friend. So, that was my first introduction to Jim.
Curly Sue was absolutely the first movie. I think that was just right around our perfect time age for us, or age to. It's not easy being a female in the cannabis industry. A lot of females have dropped out of the industry. If there's any females thinking of getting into the industry, Katie and I'd be more than happy to talk to them. But just being careful about who you work with and who you put your trust in with. I would say try to do more of it yourself versus outsourcing too much. I think Katie and I have kept as much in-house as possible, which I think has allowed us to succeed. So, and we've been able to learn the business from the inside out.
And do your research and be prepared for people to say no, and just keep moving.
Definitely be prepared for no's. And don't take no for an answer. A lot of it has been around getting in the industry, whether it's the food industry or state licensing department or city licensing department, to understand the cannabis industry. There's a very serious lack of knowledge on cannabis in general, and a lot of the people that we have to pull licenses from are very uneducated about it. So I think it's been a lot of educating whether it's a politician or whether it's a food handler's permit guy or whatever.
And then just keeping up with the ever-changing laws. I mean, they change almost daily. There's something new being passed, so that's pretty challenging as well. So.
And the laws are usually made by people who don't know much about cannabis. So a lot of it, sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. I think some of the things that could change in the cannabis industry are, number one, the way that we're reporting doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think there's just some disconnect on the understanding of how the processes work by the OMMA. I do think that regulation is important. I think we want to keep a very high quality program here in Oklahoma. So I think we're very thankful that Oklahoma, number one, has put some things in place to be able to regulate the industry, but also has left it a fairly free enterprise. I think that's really great in our state. I love the fact that people don't have to be millionaires to get into the business. I think there's a lot of states where people have to already be rich to be able to get into the industry, and I think that takes away from the equality that this product can provide, and this industry can provide.
Well, then nationally, I'd love to see the banking get a little bit easier, and full legalization, I think, would be pretty key and important.
If we could just declassify from a Schedule I drug. Cannabis doesn't kill anybody. It does have medical benefits. There is no addiction. That's all the main reasons it's Schedule I right now. So. Our goal, our entire mission is just to inspire happiness. So we really just hope that our product brings that smile to people's face when they open the box with the beauty of the chocolate and the painting that we do. We put a lot of effort and a lot of thought into our product. And then also with the effects of the BHO full spectrum oil, we really want that to create an experience that is unique and happy.
Yeah, and enhance people's lives.
We're on glazededibles.com. Our Instagram is at theglazededibles.com, and our Facebook's under Glazed Edibles. Our dispensary is the Emerald Gallery On Instagram, it's the Emerald Gallery Tulsa. And then on Facebook, it's just under the Emerald Gallery.
Yeah, 15 East Reconciliation Way in Tulsa.